are those souls firm in their foundation of faith. Theirs are spirits that glow. For as loveliness embraces a flower, so shines the boldness of their power. Beautiful are those spirits that embrace ancestral wisdom. Their visions defy yesterday's clouds. Through hope's eye, they see bright dawns, even while dancing to history's rhythms. Beautiful are those minds that conceptualize through critical thinking. Their purposeful deeds challenge the past while charting paths to new horizons, promising possibility and change. Beautiful are those hearts that beat convicted, strong, and pure. Filled with empathy and compassion, their pulse sustains and guides us in our quest for goodness, peace, and love. Beautiful are those bodies, strengthened and richly melanated, bronzed by the sun and saved by the sun. Ours is a glorious and great people, beautiful, proud, and yes, blessed.
License and registration, he can sense your aggravation.
On the head of the fallen angel.
When the world is muttering under the floorboards, stomp even louder.
Time.
Let them know you are alive today.
Or unhum.
Did you know that your hands came with a ripple effect?
Whisper tones unraveling like silk.
Blood, sweat, and tears win by any means poetry.
Sway, look at me. Is a piece of the pie too good for me?
Some may call it rock the mic. We call it poetry.
Well, hello. Welcome to Sojourn with Words. I'm your host, Sistah Joy, right here on CTV, presenting the premier poetry, the premier poetry show with the premier poets and wonderful experiences and novel ideas. Why don't we start by telling you a little bit about our guest poet? And I love first being introduced to something new. His name includes a title. So the name is Jesse N. Alexander. However, the title is Omowole Jesse N. Alexander. He's going to tell you about that a little bit later. But first, let's hear a few facts about who is this Jesse person. So Omowole Jesse N. Alexander is a son of Jesse, patriarch of the Alexander clan, leader, organizer, raceman, and Maud Anna Griot, visionary artist, poet, muse, and teacher, now also an ancestor. Today's guest poet, Omowole Jesse, lives on Piscataway land in Maryland. We are a thriving, stolen people living on a stolen land. He'll talk about that too, I'm sure. Now, Omowole Jesse is a teacher, a mentor, a writer, an apprentice, griot, a perpetual abecedarian. I love saying that word. I never get a chance to say it that often. So a perpetual abecedarian.
Always.
And old bellhead, a former wireless systems engineer, a hacker, a window through which the I am shines, a nomad
Mhm.
We'll talk about that.
Mhm.
Ham radio operator. Uh-oh. A nerd, and something I've never heard before, a blurred. He'll tell us about that.
Mhm.
He's also a life member of the Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, a free range Unitarian Universalist, a poet. Jesse, oh
Hey.
my gosh. We all need deciphering. We need to come to the table and sit at the feet of and learn. First of all, tell us about Omowole.
Omowole is a gift. It is a name that I got when I went to Nigeria with my wife, a few years ago, pre-pandemic, and a very esteemed gentleman there. Wife has an artist friend there, and one of his friends said, Omowale, that's your name. Because, and it means, it's in Yoruba, it means in English, he who has returned. So that was pretty cool. Hey, I'm back in the motherland and I got a name to go with it, you know. So
Yeah.
that's what that's about.
Okay. Okay. Well, now you talk about you identify yourself with, well, using many nom de plume, as it were. You talk about you talk about your father being what leader, organizer, race man.
Mhm.
What does that mean as far as the influence on you?
Oh, as far as influence on me, Dad is still with us. He's 93 years old
Oh, how wonderful.
and still sharp, you know. So the influence on me is Dad and I still to this day trade books. We sell books, not sell books, but I buy books for him. He buys books for me. We recommend books to each other. You know, he sends me memos, stuff like that.
I
So
love it. At 93. Yes,
yeah,
yes, yes.
yes. So you know, the race man and the other stuff about organizer. He's actually organized a committee of people at his adult community. So I'm hoping some of that will rub off on me. He also worked for the United Church of Christ for many years and also for the YMCA as an executive in the what used to be called affirmative action, now it's called diversity organization. So
Okay.
I'm hoping all that, you know, I come by it honest. My folks are readers and writers, and you know, we all have giant collections of books and stuff
Okay.
like
And
that.
that's a good thing. That's
Yes,
absolutely, we want to foster that concept as fully as possible. Now
absolutely.
you talk about your mother, Maud Anna,
Yes,
being a griot, visionary
yes,
artist, poet,
yes,
muse, teacher.
yes,
She is now an ancestor, so all
yes.
praises. Please tell us about the balance between Jesse, the patriarch, and Maud Anna, the griot, visionary.
That's a good question. Mom is still my muse, one of my muses for my work. She creeps into every poem I write just about. She is my first teacher in terms of art and that kind of thing. There are numerous photos of us, you know, me painting and doing watercolors or whatever it is that she's got me doing. So she, so that's her thing. So the way they balance is kind of interesting. Dad taught me discipline, and a lot of that is shows up in the work. You know, in the poetry, there's a role for discipline, there's a role for organization, there's a role for structure. And Mom taught me about creativity and how to reach outside of myself or reach into myself and tap that creative river that we're all connected to. So I'm proud of both of them and that kind of thing. And really, I'm excited to be here. This is just great. I appreciate the question.
Well, thank you. I have to ask the question about blurred.
Okay.
I've never heard that term before. Tell us, what is a blurred?
Well, a blurred is
And that's BLERD, right?
that's
Blurred.
right. It's a connection. So from what I understand from the younger people, blurred is a term that is sort of a contraction between black and nerd. And It was used specifically to refer to the Urkel character in I forgot the name of that show that was really popular back in the day.
I know.
So he was a blurred. So for me, what it means is that I'm interested in all kinds of stuff. Poetry is just one of my interests, but I'm interested in art. And I'm also interested in comic books. I'm a long time Black Panther fan, and I like Doctor Strange and Spider-Man and that kind of stuff. So blurs are into that kind of crazy, graphic novels and comic books and that kind of stuff. So that's
Okay.
where that term came from.
Got it. Got it. Well, talk to us about, of course, you mentioned you're a ham operator, and that's a very technical area. And yet you're this creative side brain thing, poet.
Right.
How does that balance your technical side and your blurred?
Well, it's funny because I like to think all of this comes from the same source, right? It's funny because in technical careers, there's a lot of creativity, and a lot of it's missed because most of the time people see the result. It's the circuit or the antenna or the equipment and that kind of thing, or the cell phone or whatever it is. But what they don't miss is what they don't see is all the stuff that happens behind the scenes that I'm involved in, and that kind of thing that involves arguing with people sometimes about approach and trying to find unique ways of solving a problem, discovering that you have a problem. Some cases, the joke from the engineering side is that you can have all the plans you want. You can have the best plan, the best design, the best structure, but nature may have another idea. so that influences my poetry because too often I've started off with a plan, something I want to do, a phrase that I've heard, or something like that, and I want to expand on it. And then I start writing. And as you write, and I'm sure you can relate to this, the poem decides we're going down this way.
Yes, yes.
Right.
I so understand that reality. And that's why we always have to, relate to people that poems are living things.
Exactly.
They are simply wait for us to help them be birthed.
Yes.
They have a life of their own.
Yes, they do.
And they will let you know. You can struggle and fight against it, and you think you want to write about A, and the poem is like, oh no, not today. You have to come back to that another time.
Exactly. Exactly. And so the best work that has come through me is when I've gotten out of the way.
Yes. And that's the lesson that as poets we have to learn. If we learn nothing else, because otherwise it's about ego, and there's no room for ego in poetry. Absolutely not. So why do you think it is that poetry is so essential? I mean, this poetry thing, it changes lives, nothing short of.
Yeah, I think it's essential. I'm thinking of one of my mentors, Yichtov in New Jersey, who really great poet, and he used to say, I used to do substitute teaching in the East Orange public school system, and he would come in, and it's rough on a substitute teacher anyway, but he would say, okay, we're going to do poetry today. And the students would groan and and then you have the inevitable roses are red, violets are blue, and that kind of thing. And then he would say, well, wait a minute, how many of you have rhymes? Everyone reaches into their backpack and pulls out their notebook. Everyone has a rap, everyone has a rhyme, everyone has a cipher. Poetry is essential to life. That is what we do. It's who we are, and everybody has a poem in their head, a word from the Bible, a verse from the Quran. Everybody has something in their head that is related to poetry. So that's the key thing right there. So that's the lesson I took from my my former mentor, who's also an ancestor now.
Okay.
was that everybody's got it. It's in it. It's essential.
Right. Now you talk about your faith when you mentioned you've already identified that you're a free range Unitarian Universalist. I know about the the Universalist and the Unitarian, but free range Universalist unit. Tell us about that. What does that mean?
That means that I don't necessarily, let's see, I'm free range like a chicken.
Okay, so
I go to
literally as it sounds. Okay.
literally as it sounds. I'm not tied to a particular church or congregation. And now with COVID, there have been a lot of virtual congregations. I've been to Reverend Barber's church, a few times, and I've been to, let's see where else. I've been to a bunch of Unitarian Universalist churches, and it's kind of weird how the pandemic has made it so that we can all be free range to a certain extent.
For sure.
Yeah,
Well, now,
yeah.
how does your faith inform your poetry?
Well, my faith is like my poetry is a living thing. It changes, and I'm coming to this realization that we're all connected, that there really is only one thing, and we're part of it. And I guess that's the Unitarian Universalist aspect of me. And so the best work, and this is actually something that I've noticed recently. A lot of my recent work deals with that idea that we're connected, that we're part of something large, very large, infinitely
Okay.
large.
Okay. That
you
makes
know,
sense. That makes sense.
and that and you'll see when you did the intro, I said there I'm an aspect or a light that is shining through a window. I'm one of the windows that this great vast light shines through. And so that you are, everyone is. And
Absolutely.
so that's how it influences my work, especially the recent stuff.
Well, what are you working on now?
I'm working on a book. It is literally with the printer. I am so excited right now. It is
What's the
called
title? What's
the
the
Light
title?
Box. It's
Oh,
called the Light Box:
okay.
Prayers, Songs, and Poems. So I've reached back into my past. I've also, like I said, I've been writing some Universalist poems.
Okay.
And so all that stuff is in there. It is over at Black Classic Press as we speak,
Oh, okay. Paul Coates. All
with Paul
right.
Coates, with the Paul
Yes.
Coates crew. And I'm waiting with biting my fingernails. I'm waiting for the galley to come out. It should be out. I'm hoping this week I'll get my hands on it, and then I'll flip through it and then tell them to go ahead.
I'm
You know,
sure. Oh, I can't wait. Well, I
me
know
too.
that'll be in my collection soon. So
I'll be happy to send you a copy.
you have to let me know when it's available for
I
purchase.
will. I will absolutely do that. I'll absolutely do that. It's just exciting. It's just so much stuff. Yeah, this has been a rough year for a lot of us, rough 2 years, rough 5 years, actually, now that I think about it. And so I'm trying, what I'm doing in my work is I'm reaching for gratitude. I'm reaching for thank you. I'm reaching for praise. And I'm just so excited. I don't know what to do when this book comes out. I don't know. I'm scared.
Well, don't be scared. Don't be scared.
I'm scared. And I'm happy at the same time.
Let's celebrate your poetry by having you share some with our viewers. We've learned a little bit about who Jesse is. I should say Omowole Jesse N. Alexander. Please share some poetry, whatever you'd care to share for the next 10 minutes or so. That we've got about 10 minutes to go.
Okay, all right. Let's see. I'm going to go in, reach into the light box.
To the vault. Oh, the light box. Yes.
I'm going to read a poem that has not been published yet, and I'm hoping to get it published, just because I'm thinking about voting and that kind of thing now. So this poem's entitled John Lewis.
Oh, yes. Always.
So the first, it's got two parts. Number one, that Alabama smirk, that Mississippi mugshot, that be the spark of justice. Two, a man is only as good as his words. Reborn in the mouth of a white teenager, suspended from high school because she posted a disobedient photograph of a crowded pandemic hallway of unmasked children. See, Georgia smirks and answers the camera's "Are you afraid?" question with "Good trouble." See, your life's only good as your word.
Okay.
That one.
And again, the title for that was?
John Lewis.
John Lewis. Okay. Good trouble. Yeah.
Good trouble. So yeah, this is from an incident. A lot of my work is influenced by incidents and stuff that happens in the news and happens in the media and that kind of thing. And so that was, I actually saw that incident. There was a young woman who decided that she would expose some problems at her school. And she actually took a photograph, and I just thought it was hilarious. You know, she was being interviewed and they wanted to know, why did you do it? And she said, good trouble. So let's see, what else do I have here?
I think I saw that interview as well.
Yeah, I just thought it was really powerful. I think, and we're back to poetry and, the role of poetry in people's lives and how it makes a difference. I'm actually going to open up the book, the digital copy of the book here, The Lightbox. And it's dedicated to my sister, Olufumi, otherwise known as Virginia. The Lightbox. I think they made everything from a humongous box filled with golden light and poked holes in the velvet darkness for stars, dreams, and art, and made eyes the same way, and fringed each and every flower and leaf on every tree, and all of the animals too, us too, with holes so small you can only see it if you're very, very quiet. If you're too loud, you won't see it, and you'll keep bumping into and breaking things, and you could spend all of your days making this great mistake. So it's much, much better to just be quiet and enjoy the art. That's the title poem from the book, The Lightbox. Let's see. So I mixed in this book things that are old and things that are new. This poem is called So Many Stars, and it started out as a fortune cookie fortune. And I'll read the fortune cookie fortune. It says, all the stars appear every night in the sky. All is well. News is all the stars are in their places. And in spite of astrologists' attempts to mind their business, all is well. News is the moon is full, smiling for you, or so you think, smiling on an evening you call good, when the breeze is right and the sea sounds soothing, and you don't even think about what she might be doing on her dark side, behind her back. News is sunrise seems beautiful. Is that because we fear the dark? News is somewhere funnel clouds belly dance, enticing the roofs off churches and hospitals and other safe illusions, and anybody they can get up into a gigantic little death somewhere, while somewhere there are gentle evening raindrops to jazz tangled lovers into a sweet sleep like children. Don't worry about it. Don't study it too hard. Happenings are happening. Everything is everything. And news is the clockwork is not of our hands.
Wonderful, wonderful. I love that.
Thank you.
Absolutely wonderful.
Thank you.
Jesse, we have just about run out of time, but I want to get one more in, if we can get one more. So what would your closing poem be that you'd like to leave with our Sojourn with Words viewers to really say, this is Jesse, this is Omowole Jesse N.
Okay. Well, let's see. I'm going to do my traditional thing is at the end, and it's true of this book too. At the end of the book, there is a gratitude poem, and I will read that. Here it is, and it's a short one. Gratitude poem. And it opens with a quote from my uncle, Colonel George W. Alexander. Many wondrous things happen to me, but not by me. I receive many gifts, although I do not know them by their correct names at the time of their offering. Take this poem. I so wish that she were mine, but she arrived whole, grown, and said, like Mrs. Green in Montclair High School English class, and now you write. Thank you.
Oh, how beautiful. Perfect salutation. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse, for being our guest today on Sojourn with Words. I knew it was going to be a quick half an hour, and it was just that filled, chock filled to the brim with all the wonderful things that bring your poetry to life. Thank you so very much for being with us. And is there a website or a contact point that persons who would like to know more or get more?
Sure, you can reach out to me at, I'll give you my email address. It's scipoet@fastmail.com. That's SCIPOET @fastmail.com. You can also go to my website, eyepoet.net, and I'll be happy. I'm also on social media and Twitter and all that kind of stuff. So you can reach out to me there. Thank you so much.
That website again was EYEPOET.
That's right. iPoet, EYEPOET.net.
.net. Okay. Well, thank you so much. Again,
thank you,
viewers.
Joy. I really, really appreciate you having me on so much.
Well, it's absolutely been my privilege and pleasure, and one of Prince George's own right here in Southern Maryland.
Yes.
Absolutely my honor to present you, and we look forward to finding out about that book when it becomes available, and we'll share whenever we can that new poetry is coming right here from Omowole Jesse N. Alexander. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sistah Joy. I appreciate you. You're a treasure. You know, really,
and give
really.
my best to Karen.
I will.
Yes,
to
yes.
Carol. I will. In true fashion, she's on another Zoom call.
Of course, that's the times we're living in.
That's what we do, right?
Yes. Okay, that's it. We'll see you next time on Sojourn with Words. And in the meanwhile, remember to always pick up a pen and keep writing.